All right, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I'm sure you agree with me. It was great to meet a wonderful young reporter, and we wish Jimmy well in covering the Bronx. But right now, we are going to Los Cuentitos. There, you can see it, and that is the new a book, the new book of short tales. It says right over there, a book of tales from Ana Ortiz, who is a Bronx author. Anna, so nice to have you with us on the program, and
Oh, thank you
congratulations
so
on
much.
the book.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be interviewed on your show.
Oh, sure. So let's just talk about you now. Frankly, until I read it on your little bio in the on the back of the book, I wasn't aware that you had had a 30-year career as a an attorney. Talk to me a little bit about you and what you've done before we got to Los Cuentitos.
Yeah, I graduated from Rutgers Law School in Newark, and um, I received the Reginald Haber Smith Fellowship. And my first job when I graduated from law school was working with the New York City Legal Aid Society
Uh huh.
in New York City Civil Court, representing tenants. I
Boy, I'll tell
graduated.
you, there's probably a book in that. If you
Yes,
want to
there
tell us some
is.
stories, I'm sure there is.
Oh yeah, yeah, there is. I graduated and became a public interest lawyer. So I've worked with the New York Legal Aid Society as
Well,
a
so
consultant.
we don't need to go through every detail, but you've
Yeah.
had a long career in law, and you retired when?
I retired. I want to say almost 10 years ago.
Wow. And so then, at what point did you say, I ought to start writing?
Well, I've always liked writing. I was always interested in writing since I was very young.
Hmm.
So I won my first writing contest when I was in the fifth grade. I was 10 years old. Um, so throughout the years, I always used to write little things here and there, little stories or, anecdotes and then when I retired, I decided to pursue my interest because I've always wanted to do that.
And that's a wonderful thing for having dedicated your professional career for one thing, and then you have kind of this bug in you, and you really want to get to it. Now, this is your first work, first
Right. Yeah, it's
official
my
work.
first. Yeah. Well,
Um,
I did have some short stories published before this
mhm,
on an online magazine, but
right.
this is the
But
actual
really,
first.
this is it. These are they tell you a little bit about life. I saw one thing that had been put out. It said fiction never got so real.
Right.
Um, how let's see how many are there. There are numerous short, and they're like like eating chocolates. You could just eat
Yeah.
one and then you'll eat another because they're only
Right. Exactly.
2 or 3 pages long. Let's see, we've got a dozen different stories in here. um, Tell me about the creation of them. Did you sit down every day and say, okay, now I'll do another one, or are these tales that you've had in your head for a long time?
Right. So some of them, they've been around for a while, and I finally sat down and dedicated some time to it and wrote the story. And others are just things that have just popped into my mind, and then I've said, "Oh," and I wonder, and I don't know. Once I get the idea, it just keeps flowing, and I just
Are
keep
they?
writing.
Are they? These are in some ways hard hitting. If you're looking for something that's going to make you say, "Oh, life is beautiful and
Right.
wonderful," that you're not going to get that here. But if you want to get to a reality that exists for many people, an untold reality,
Exactly.
then that is the way to do it. That is what you have done here. Tell me a little bit about the creation of it. Did I'm always interested in an artist's muse. Did you sit down and say, okay, let me just pull out a title here and say, okay, how my mother lost her job? Did
Okay.
you?
So
Is it
so
based
so
on something, or did you just spit it out, or did
so
you
so,
say,
so
what
let
would
me give you
be
a
if that happened? Give
a
us
lot of
some of the
these
creation.
a lot of these stories um, are based on some events that have actually taken place. I mean, I've changed everything around, so it's not it's not the what actually happened. Um, but for example, how my mother lost her job was the person who was telling me how his mother lost his job. I said, "Oh my God, that's a great title for a story." You see
And you
how my
use
mother
that as a way to kind of use
right,
your imagination, so to speak. But they're
right,
really based on a hard reality. And things, of course, because they're short, things move kind of quickly in them. Um, do, like, how long does it take to write one? You know,
all right.
I'm always tempted to ask.
Okay, okay.
And in essence, we're saying how long did it take to put a dozen stories together to make this book?
Okay, well, that took that book took, I want to say, from when I first got the idea till the actual publication day, it took 4 years.
Wow. And now this is self-published, which is an opportunity, right? Do I have
No,
that
it's
right?
not
No, it's
self-published.
not self-published. I'm so
It's
sorry.
by L Tree, which is a publisher.
Hmm. And I'm curious about that, and then we're going to go back to some of the content. Is that is the process of turning your ideas and typing it out on a computer and then getting it to somebody? Is that a difficult process, or did you find like it had some flow and it had some logic? Because I hear all kinds of stories about people being rejected, and then somebody picked it up, and then and then an editor says, "I'd rather have it this way." What was that process like for you?
Um, well, actually, what I used to do originally when I first started writing was I wasn't sure whether people would really be interested in the stories. So I started just showing the story to friends, people I knew, family, and everybody liked the stories. And they said to me, "Oh, you should really try to get this published." So at one point, I actually submitted my stories to this publisher, and she said to me, "These stories are great. You still need to work on them,
That's what I
but
was going to say. They always want to tell you what how they see it, but sometimes that critique is useful.
okay." Well,
Maybe
the
not.
only comment that she made at the end was, "It can't be this bad, Anna. Don't you have like a happy story?"
you know, it did occur to me, and I did reference it earlier in this discussion. So, what was your response to that?
My response was, "In what world have you been living?"
Oh, very good. Very
Yeah,
good. This is, ladies and gentlemen, a Bronx girl who knows
yeah.
what life is
Like if
about,
you
and
look
that's
around,
a
right? Like if you look around you, I mean, these stories are not far fetched. I mean, these
that's right.
like the incident with the bus that really did.
Right.
There was a very similar incident on a bus like that. It didn't. I mean, I of course got the guy into a fight with somebody
Yeah,
else, and
you embellished it. Yeah, I get that.
yeah. But no, I mean, I took it to this is what could happen. This is what this kind of situation leads to.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't just want to write little stories that can entertain people and make people happy. I wanted to try to convey a message to my readers. And I think I've accomplished that with these
Uh,
stories.
um, I could try and define what that message is. What is the message you want to communicate? So let's hear what you had to say
I want
without
people
me
to,
embarrassing
yeah, yeah.
myself
I
and
want
saying the
people
wrong
to
thing.
open their eyes and look around and see what's going on in our communities and see what's going on in our society and take responsibility for their actions.
Hmm.
That every single thing we do and say, as a matter of fact, every single thought we have has consequences.
Hmm. I was going to say that that it just captures a reality and is almost like a calling out for help. People in the Bronx understand that, and I talk about this all the time because people don't know how we live. People that's why
Right,
that publisher could say that to you
right,
without really understanding. Wait a minute, I never been to Burnside Avenue. I've never been, to Mott
right.
Haven. I've never been to, wherever, somewhere in the Crotona, and I've never really understood how people live and what they need to do to survive. Uh, as I mentioned, fiction never got so real. Um, do you do you like put this out and then say, okay, I'm done, I'm finished, or do you already? Because I know many writers and artists are creating still, like that was the inspiration to do the next one, or are you
Right.
not there yet?
I have I actually am working on another story right now.
Hmm.
There's one on the back burner, and then there is even the possibility of a novella.
Are you considering something different or more in the same vein? You know, we find so many on this program and on BronxNet in general, so many Bronxites who just want to tell this story about who we
Right.
are. Do you feel like all of this will be in that vein, or at some point you'll go out and you'll write about
For
something?
now, I think it's in the same vein.
Wow. Um, and I guess we've talked about the work. And by the way, the book is Los Cuentitos, and Ana Ortiz is the author. Um, and I talked to a lot of authors and other people about this. How does the borough of the Bronx and living in the Bronx and growing up in the Bronx, how does that inform your work? In other words, is it everything, or you know what I mean? What did you get out of knowing the Bronx and being able to write about it in this work?
Well, all of these stories come out of this community that I live here in the
Which
Bronx.
community is that, by the way?
I live in the Soundview Claxton Point area.
Okay, right.
I've lived here most of my life, since
Hmm.
I was 12 years old. I first went to live in the South Bronx when I was 7 years old, and then my mother, she bought this little house here in Classen Point, and this is where I grew up. And
Right.
so the stories come out of here, out of the people who lived here. A lot of these people, um, a lot of the characters are based on some of the people that live in this community.
That you know, or you made some kind of imagination about. Listen, we got to run. Anna Ortiz has put out her first book. Let's celebrate it. Let's buy it. Let's take a look at it. It's available wherever books are sold, I assume,
Uh,
online and everywhere else.
you can get it online, Barnes and Nobles.
That's where
If
you
you
want to go.
if you just type in Los Cuentitos,
It'll come up. Yeah,
it will come
we
up.
got to run. I don't want to rush you, but we do got to run. Ana Ortiz, Los Quintitos. It's about our lives. It's about our communities. It's about what it's like to be in the Bronx. Um,
Okay, Gary, thank you so much.
Anna, thank you so much. And we'll see you around, and we'll certainly look for other stuff that you put out, and we'll try to give you an opportunity to come here on the Bronx Buzz.
As soon
That, ladies and
as
gentlemen,
soon
will
as the
do it
show comes
for our
out, I'll let you
program. And you know what's going to happen? I can tell you what's going to happen. We'll see you next week. Good night.